Welcome, Lee here from Play Guitar Academy with another Why They Work lick video. This week, I'm sharing my top 5 blues soloing secrets, and I'm gonna stuff them all into 5 awesome blues licks so that you can put them together and then play an entire 12-bar blues solo. If you are a beginner who struggles with your blues solos, working on just one of these secrets can move you up to the next level. But before we get started, to get the most out of these lick lessons, we need to open up the entire fretboard and stop playing in just 1 or 2 patterns. Take a second to click the link in the description, download my free Big 4 scale pattern worksheet, and you can change your guitar playing and start feeling comfortable playing all over the fretboard. Okay, let's get started with the licks. Today I'm playing in the key of A. I'll be using multiple patterns of the minor pentatonic, major pentatonic, and the blues scale. We're starting with phrasing, the most important thing right up front. What's phrasing? It's creating small melodies that communicate. Well, what's the easiest way to start playing licks that communicate? You need to end them with a kind of strong note punctuation. Something that says, I'm done with this idea and I'm ready to start the next. Let's take a look at this lick and see where the strong notes are and how we end on the root note. Okay, we're starting at the 8th fret on the B string. If we're in A minor pentatonic, that's the flat 7, that's the G, and we're gonna bend it a full step up to the A. So we're already starting with the root note, bending up to it and then playing it again. Now we walk our way back down the minor pentatonic scale, G to E, that's 8th fret to 5th fret on B, 7th fret to 5th fret on the G string. But here's where things start to go a little different. We are going to start sliding up, and we're going to slide with our 3rd finger. This is going to go from the D note up to the E note, and that's going to put us into pattern 2 for just a second. Now I'm also going to play the G again, but from pattern 2 here, this little diagonal shape with my 2nd and 3rd finger. That's all we need from pattern 2, so we're going to slide back down to the 7th fret, the D note on the G string, and we're going to go to the minor 3rd, that's the 5th, and to the root note, where we're going to end it, and we're going to make a bigger deal out of it because we're going to play an octave up from that root note. And notice that root note has a very strong ending to it. That's our punctuation. That's what's saying, I'm done playing this. What would happen if we played this lick but ended it on the D? Feels unfinished. It feels like there's more to the lick. And there's nothing wrong with that if you do have more to the lick. But if you're just stringing together ideas and they never end, it's going to just sound like someone asking you a bunch of questions with no answer. In lick number 2, the secret is mixing scales. What's the best thing about playing blues over dominant 7th chords? It's that they work with several different kind of scales, not just the minor pentatonic. So being able to mix them, mixing different scales inside of a lick can create very interesting and a very complex solo. You hear this sound from pro players all the time, but it's hard to say exactly what's going on by ear. Let's take a look at the lick and see what's going on. We're going to start just like lick number 1. We're going to bend the 8th fret on the B string up to the A note, up a full step. Then we're going to work our way back down the minor pentatonic scale. That's A, G, E, D, C, straight down. And we're going to do the slides up to the 9th fret, just like we did before. But the difference is this time, instead of using our 3rd finger to slide up there, we're going to use our 2nd finger to slide. You'll see why in just a second. So as we slide up to the 9th fret with our 2nd finger on the G string, that leaves our 1st finger free to play the 8th fret on the B string. Now, instead of sliding back like we did before, we're going to do the same exact slide up another 2 frets. This time we're going up to the 11th fret on the G. And then the 1st finger grabs the 10th fret right there. So this slide from the 9th and the 8th fret to the 11th and the 10th fret takes us out of pattern 2, the minor pentatonic, and it puts us in pattern 4 of the A major pentatonic. Let's end this all off with a little bend on the 12th fret of the B string. We're going to bend that up a full step. That's a B going to a C sharp. We're bending up into the major 3rd. and then back to the root on the 10th fret. In lick number 3, the secret is targeting chord tones. Just playing a scale without paying attention to the chords that are behind you is the number one way to play an aimless solo. By targeting the chord tones in your solos, you take aim, and you take aim in a big way. Check out this lick where the arpeggio notes of the D7 chord help us build a lick that climbs up to the next pattern. We're in the key of A, and this is where in the 12-bar blues we go to the 4 chord, the D7th chord there. We're going to be outlining this chord with a little arpeggio work. We're targeting these chord notes, really targeting them. So we're going to start at the 9th fret on the A string. This is an F sharp. That is the 3rd of our D7 chord. All right, so we're going to start here, and the reason why we start up here is because we're going to have this little diagonal shape that we're going to take advantage of. So we start with the 9th fret, the major 3rd, and then we're going to go up to the A note, that's the 5th, and come back to the major 3rd. So it's 9, 7 on D, back to 9 on A. Now that little shape, this little diagonal shape, we're going to move now to the 5th fret on the middle 2 strings. So now we're going to start with the 5th fret, that's the C, that's the flat 7th, for this D7th chord, back to an A. So far we have, can you hear how we're going stepwise up with arpeggio notes? So for the next step in this arpeggio, we're going to go to the B string on the 7th fret. That's another F sharp. And we're going to move back to the flat 7. That's the C on the G string. So far. Few more of these as we go up stepwise. Now we're going to go to the 5th fret on the high E string, and then we're going to come back in this diagonal fashion to that F sharp, the 7th fret on the B string. So all together. That gets us out. We've worked our way up that arpeggio, and now we're going to do a little minor 3rd to major 3rd. We're going to go to the 8th fret. That is the minor 3rd to the 10th fret, which is the 4th, back to the 8th fret. But this time we're going to go up a half step to the major 3rd. And that sound of minor 3rd to major 3rd, mixing scales like that, is a very common sound in blues. And we're going to end that on the root note. In lick number 4, the secret is double stops. Playing fragments of chords, 2 notes from a chord, playing these fragments together, or you can play them offset, 1 note at a time. It can bring a splash of harmony to your solos, and it also just really sounds cool. In this 12-bar blues, I've outlined when we go from the 5 chord to the 4 chord with double stops. Let's take a look here. Now, when we go to the 5 chord in E, that's an E7, and we're going to play a double stop off of this E7. So here we are up top here, right where an E dominant 7th bar chord would play up at the 12th fret. And we're taking 2 notes from that chord. We're taking the 12th fret on the high E string, which is the E, the root of that chord, and the 13th fret on the G string. That's the G sharp, that's the major 3rd. So this is outlining the chord. And when you listen to the lick before, you should have heard the chords changing as we go. So we're going to take this double stop and move it up to the next inversion. This is up at the 16th fret. And what we have here is a G sharp on top now. And then we have a B on the bottom. That's 16 on the G string and 16 on the high E string. That's the 5th on the G string and then the major 3rd up on the high E string. That outlines the E7 chord, but this doesn't last long. In this part of the 12-bar blues, we go straight to the 4 chord. How do we outline the 4 chord with these double stops? Well, we're going to start on the 14th fret on the G string and the high E string. That's the 5th and the major 3rd double stop for a D7th chord there. What we'll do is walk this down a few frets chromatically, and that's going to set us up until we get to the double stop that works over the D7 bar chord at the 10th fret. with the D note on the high E string at the 10th, and then the F sharp on the G string at the 11th. And finally, we'll end the lick off with a minor third going to the root. In lick number 5, the secret is blues scales. The pentatonic scales, major and minor, are mostly strong notes. That's why everyone loves to play them. But by adding a tension note to these scales, and notes that's a little outside, we can play licks that really get attention. This is a descending line that uses the blues scale for a little extra tension and release as we move back to the 5 chord. So we're going to start at the 10th fret. Why? Because that's where our hand was from the last lick. It's going to make it easy. Instead of jumping to the 5th fret, we'll play the same note, the A note, up at the 10th fret. And we're going to start walking down the minor pentatonic scale. That's A to G to E. Now we're on the G string, 9th fret. Now we're going to walk down 3 notes chromatically. E, D sharp, D. This D sharp in the middle, this is the sharp 4. This is the blue note from the blues scale. You can hear the tension. There's your A note. Now we're going to slip back to pattern 1. We're going to play the minor third with our first finger at the 5th fret on the G string, and we're going to go up a fret. We're going to resolve it to the major third. This has happened several times with these licks, minor third to major third, but it's a great way to set up our last note, which is the E, not the A. You thought it might go to the A to end the song, but no, we have a little tag at the end of our 12-bar blues. We have a little E dominant 7th there, and we're going to hit the root of that chord to let everyone know, hey, 12-bar blues is over. We're going back to the top. Thanks for playing along today. And thanks to all of our Academy members over at playguitaracademy.com. They're tearing into the tab and guitar profiles from this lesson right now. And don't forget to download my free Big 4 scale pattern worksheet. It's going to make all of this easier for you. And as always, let me know what you think in the comments. Have a great practice. I'll see you in the next video.